Hey.
Hey, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
it, you know, the funny thing is every time I talk to somebody and I get a real good conversation with them,
Yeah.
it's like that's when like I get bombarded with like phone calls the most, you know?
Of course. Of course. That's meant to not get the conversation so into things that might be of major interest. Yeah, it could be that too.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I'm being like all obstacles possible are being thrown at me.
Absolutely.
But
So, but that.
oh, no, I was gonna say it's incredible though that there's like okay, there's like an angelic force that watches over people like us. It puts us in a position as to where like we have to agree to be affected in a negative way, right? Do you think?
Yes. Yes. Well. A dime to make a diamond, piece of coal has to be shaped how many thousands of times in order to sparkle that bright.
Right.
uh, pearl is being, condensed in the mouth of a clam and under a lot of pressure in order to make that little tiny beautiful piece of pearl. So, it makes sense that there has to be a lot of shaping to perfect a being with us, you know. We're
Mhm.
working at becoming more spiritual, more connected, and we're splintered forms of source. We're all sparks of source. So source has sent out aspects of itself so that it can view itself from different angles. And that's all we are. So, this is an experience we have to experience. We have to experience dark in order to recognize light and vice versa.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like the even the beings out there wherever they are that choose to lead what we can perceive as being a dark path, in essence, they're doing us the greatest favor possible because they're having to carry that side of of creation. They're having to. I mean, they're making it possible for people to have a good experience because if you didn't have the bad, you wouldn't have the good.
Absolutely. And there's certain teachers, spiritual teachers, especially when I went to a seminar when I was 18, is that the greatest souls who love you the most with the deepest admiration and the strongest, they're the strongest advocates of you are the ones who come in your life as villains.
Mhm.
And in the ether, they're some of the closest souls to you, but they
Right.
come in to take on the task of being the villain to build what is necessary to take you to the next stage. And people are like, that's freaking crazy. No, it sounds about right. It sounds about right. Okay, so, we're all here to learn. This is a school. Some may say it's a jail for the crazies, but it's a school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, school can be tough. You have bullies, you have mean teachers, you have
Yes, yes,
you know, you have days off, you have there's all types of things going on when you're in school,
I
you know.
agree. I agree. So I was
Yeah.
going to ask you,
Mhm.
where this is one of the things where I'm working on now because I'm noticing exasperation of people's abilities showing up. But I'll just give you a FYI. Everyone is, well, I'm not going to say everyone. Let me take that back. A lot of people are experiencing abilities that were once dormant that are awakening at this time during the Great Reveal, which is 2015 on. So, you know, I noted that if you like telekinesis, other forms of psychic kinetic abilities, whether it's like spiral starting, some people have this weird magnetic kind of energy thing where they can flicker off lights or they mess with the magnetic field. This is real. These are all real things happening. Like a woman who has hyper pheromones, she puts men under a spell if they come in close proximity. Have you noticed any abilities being invoked in you lately?
That's so amazing that you asked that. There's a couple. One of them is I'll just be sitting there and I get instant downloads of information and it'll be like just really really good information. I don't know where it comes from. And then when I
Uh
reference
huh.
it, it'll all be true. Um,
Yep.
Another
There you
thing
go.
is I can see auras now. I can
Very good.
I can look at a person and like around like if they hold up their hand, I can see
Yes.
an energetic aura field coming off their hand. Like it'll be like a different color sometimes. And then I do have like I swear to you, I am getting somewhat psychic because I'm going to a lot of places and it's like I'm getting the amnesia thing. Not the amnesia, but the deja vu thing. I'm getting like
Yeah.
I'm like I'll be able to see something happen and like I'll be able to.
I don't want to. I want to backtrack you for a moment. Are you getting deja vu? Are you getting deja vu when you're going on interviews with people, or just random places?
Both. Both.
Okay, because I know something about deja vu that would freak you out because you were talking about timelines. Whenever you get deja vu, it could mean that your timeline has been altered. That's interesting you said that because that's how we started this conversation.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that means, remember, there's certain entities that also hijack. Well, it's late, so I probably can't get too deep into it. But as far as I know, and to the best of my knowledge, is that there are entities and government officials who hijack certain timelines based on what they see in the future. So they come back and mess with it. If they change it, if you remember The Matrix, remember when Neo saw the black cat and
Oh yeah.
Morpheus said, "Have you seen that black cat? What was different?" And he said, "Was it different or was it the same?" Okay, that's deja vu. When he said, "When you see it, that means they changed something. They changed something." So whenever you see deja vu, it means the timeline might have been hijacked. It might have been changed. Something was changed, and you don't notice it. The only reminder that you know that it's this, there was a change, is deja vu. And there was a whole bunch of dudes going into this deep clinical. These dudes from Netherlands went deep into this. I got to give you the article. It's sick. It's sick. But yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I want to understand. I get excited when you say things like that. Deja vu now piques my interest.
Yeah.
I want to know what they changed. I want to know what you were doing so that they had to change it.
Well, I think it's both. I think deja vu, like you said, is a timeline change, but also I think it might be like what you said about the psychic ability, and maybe because inherently we know what's going to happen.
Yep. You're right.
It could be, I'm sure there's like a lot of different reasons that we do have deja vu. Like it's timeline change,
Absolutely.
ESP, psychic. I mean, uh,
Yep.
it's a lot of really cool avenues that we can go with it. I think you yourself have amazing ability to metaphysically connect with people that you teach because you're basically a teacher, right?
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I think so. I'm a Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs teacher, but yes.
Well,
I'm
that's.
joking.
I mean, you're not working at the high school or whatever, but you're doing something much better. You're actually a lot of people are going to YouTube now to get the best information.
Absolutely. Including myself, absolutely.
Right, and so I view you more as like a teacher because the subjects that you come up with, people are out there aimlessly pondering these things and they can't find any answers anywhere. And when they look for it on Google, you're really one of the only people who can give them information, and you got really good information. You know.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of think of myself as an elevated student
Uh huh.
who just shares their research. That's what I think of myself as. I can't give myself the props as a teacher because I don't feel I've gotten there. It's just in my own mind. But thank you for thinking that. But I always thought I'm like an elevated student that shares their research with others, and then feeds and bounces back and forth off of the information that the other students share with them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Well, in essence, though, maybe a teacher is a student because I couldn't imagine a teacher that didn't learn from their students. You know.
That's right. Absolutely. There you go.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. I think I'm so grateful we have this platform because I remember, I think I stated this on my one of my videos. I dated he was my boyfriend for years. We grew up together from little people. He was one of the number one YouTube people at the time, and I thought he was crazy. I thought he was crazy. I was like, "What are you doing on YouTube?" I wasn't deep into YouTube at that time. This is about 8 years ago. He was Q Wilder, was his name? He's passed away since just recently. But I thought to myself, he's the reason why I thought it was possible. And I'm grateful that he allowed me to see this platform, and he thrived on it. So um, I'm grateful we have this to be able to share our experiences and also to meet other people like me meeting you. You know, we would have never been able to do this back in the days. Like to meet another person of the same
Right.
likeness and same, same, we're in the same kind of path. It's kind of cool. And who would have known this could have happened? But again, this happened with a boyfriend I had many, many years ago.
Mhm.
He wasn't my boyfriend 8 years ago, but 8 years ago he was my boyfriend when I was young. I always have to clarify that because I was married. So he was my sweetheart when I was young, and he's like my best friend. And he was the one doing videos and funny ones, just really crass, kooky ones. But he was great. And I think, remember we talked about when you see someone living their truth and being who they are, it inspires you to be yourself and to live in your truth. It was that to me.
Yeah, yeah. You see, you've come like I've been seeing you like do your videos before, and like we did an interview before and stuff. But I swear to you, it's like every time I talk to you, it's like you've jumped up a level. You know?
Thank you.
It's
Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah. The knowledge is coming quicker, and the universe is helping too. We're getting information like I'm getting downloads. I got a download that made me sick for like a month. That's another thing. I had a molecular download. I thought I was dying. I'm serious. I was talking to all of my people. I was like, I don't know what these ascension symptoms are. I had weird kind of symptoms, and I'm a healthier girl. I don't. I do pride myself that I'm a vegetarian, mostly a raw veganist. I fast and I do stuff, and I'm very mindful. I was having some symptoms. Oh boy! And all you kept reading was these are ascension symptoms, ascension symptoms, and I was thinking, oh, that's okay. And a lot of it was I was getting a molecular change. I was getting a molecular upgrade. I almost feel like I look different because of it too. So this is a real life. This is real. We get downloads, we get upgrades depending on our consciousness.
yeah, yeah. I think we've been getting downloads for a long time, and are like
Yes.
more sleeping, but like now it's happening in the
You
middle of
get awake, right?
yeah.
You're getting awake. Yes, yes. That is the biggest thing. Listen, you are one of few, but it's a lot amongst us. You're getting day downloads. They never used to do that before. It means your frequency. That means we're in fourth, number one. That solidifies that we're definitely in fourth on our way up. Because they can't do that in third like that. That's why we had to be asleep. They can do it awake because now we're in a different realm.
Right.
And it also is a testament of your consciousness because they cannot do that with everyone of lower vibration. They can't handle the day download.
Mm.
You get a download in the day, you're like, whoop, okay, good, I'm good. Let me go let me go research some more. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy, but that's the time you're living.
And the fact that we're being able to recognize that we know we're getting downloads.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes. It's real though. It took me a moment, even though I knew about it, I read about it, I talked to people who were experiencing it, I was experiencing it. It took me a while to really, really accept it. I'm be honest, and I'm in that world. It took me a while until I got the marks on my arms I gotta put those pictures on my video. I don't know how to do that yet. I'll ask you how to do it. I had marks, not marks, coordinates on my arm just show up out of the blue. On my arm. Looked like somebody had wrote on my arm. It was the weirdest thing. I was on the phone. Coordinates to somewhere. Just showing up, raising on my arm as if someone had wrote symbols and something on my arm out of the blue. It was the weirdest thing in the world. Or waking up and seeing a screen on my arm, my arm while I'm sleeping. Weird stuff like that. But I think that has a lot to do with me being a contactee. That kind of weird, kind of the symbols, the hologram on my arms. It's weird. Weird kind of things like that happen.
Well, I think what it is it may be reminders for you. I mean, you may have had a communication with one of your spirit guides or some other being
Oh, right.
in person, and it was too. It may have been too much, and so you couldn't remember it. The encounter, the energetic encounter, was so high. I mean, it could have been like a sixth density being or fifth density being, and it left a reminder on our body for us to remember, sort of like abductions. You know how
Oh, thank you for that one. You know what? Oh my God.
yeah.
I just hadn't. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. That was a reminder.
Right, and you might, you know what? It might be like a month from now, or 6 months, or a year, or even 10 years. I mean, it can happen anytime. It might just hit you. Oh yeah, I had a meeting with that being. I remember it now. I remember what they look like and everything.
Exactly,
And
exactly. Because a lot of times if you're higher, see, this is the thing. You could be having contact. The higher position you are on the other realm, the less you remember. All these people who remember a lot about their contact experience are not they're just, it's not that they're lesser, their mission is not as life risking. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like
right,
you don't want to tell somebody who's going to partake in a crime too much, because if they ever question, you don't want them to falter under pressure. So when you're high in that contact and you're here to do something major, you generally have the least amount of memories when it comes to any contact, or none.
yeah, yeah, because it'll spoil. Not only will it'll spoil it for you because it's too
Yeah.
much at once.
Yeah.
It'll spoil
Yeah.
it for you. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you know everything that you got to do, it'll actually prevent you from doing it because it'll be too much
That's
to
true.
carry. Right,
Yeah.
right,
True.
and so I think that's one of the biggest things for people who are getting into this research is they're forgetting that. I mean, this is something that's complete, like meeting with other entities from other dimensions or other worlds and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
this isn't something that's like etched in stone. You know what I mean?
No.
It,
No.
it it's different for everybody, and it's just like that. I
It
think
is.
you know, it's like your mission might your mission doesn't mean it's going to be like everybody else's mission. You know.
No, it's very individually based, and also different ET groups have investments in certain people. That's another thing. You
Right.
may have Team Blue, Team Lizard, but Team Blue may be, the avions may be all about you. So you are what they're invested in. But Team Green, maybe the Anunnaki Enki side, has an investment in me. So they're all about me. So even in that, our missions may be working together maybe for the same goal, but we're working on different teams to work towards the same goal.
And then your people could be connecting with my people right now,
Mhm.
being as they see we're connected, and they're
They
trying to.
do. Yeah.
Right, they want to integrate the energy together for some other, some there may be somebody who, if they heard you alone, they would react to it certainly. If they heard me alone, they'd react to us differently. But if they hear our energy together, it might hit a certain note.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, the combination creates the right vibration.
Right. Right. It's like
Yeah.
alchemical or something. It's
Absolutely. Alchemy at its best. Yeah. Word. I mean, that's just where we're at right now. I mean, like I say, I always go on the ET level, but we got the blue avions that just bounced on the planet to cause some balance. That's a new group. That's not a new group, but it's a group that's that's caused all the other ET groups that thought they were the bomb to be a little nervous right now. So that's where my research is interesting at this moment, because we're looking to see what the blue avians have come here to do.
the blue
I don't know if you know
avians.
about them. Yeah. Yeah.
They're like what, where are they
They're
from?
like the balancers. They're the balancers. Yeah. Yeah. And they've got, the Dracons. The Dracons are very fierce. They have a lot more strength physically than the Anunnaki. And there was a treaty between the Anunnaki and Dracons. But they always have treaties between each other on and off. They fight, and then they build a treaty. They fight, these are just like people, like political parties. We're together now. Fuck you. Excuse my language. F you. I don't
Right.
work with you anymore. But the treaty was just broken recently in the ET community between the Draconians and the Anunnaki. And they went on a hit list to kill all the Anunnaki that were coming through the gate. So a lot of these explosions and stuff you're seeing all different places. This is to my knowledge, has to do with the infighting going on. And they're trying to get rid of all the Anunnaki that are hiding, or trying to come through the gates. So the Draconians are trying to just basically slaughter them. So the blue avians have come in, and I don't know if they're trying to intercede. It hasn't happened yet, so we're going to see what's going on.
Right.
So all these things that you think are random explosions, I'm going to just let you know, is a deeper story behind it.
Okay, so the avians, you're saying that did they read the energy themselves and feel that it was off balance and they wanted to come in, or?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Personally, I think, and then I was met up. Ooh, the universe opened up to me, and I had my first full day contact with an entity that's a walking, breathing person came to me out of the blue. I don't want to go too deep into that because it's freaky, but it's my world. So for me, it's very normal now, but it would be abnormal for someone else. And there's a lot of ETs that are coming here just to view what's going to happen with us, because the blue avians have shown up and they're not saying what they're going to do. They're not it's almost like they're viewing it. Like we don't, like, I can't tell you how they're going to level everything off, but they came here to balance it. But I don't see them coming to the aid of the Anunnaki yet, so we're going to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see if they do that. Because if not, the Anunnaki, as much heartache as it's caused, obviously all the ETs have an agenda. And I always tell people all the time, everything on this planet has an agenda. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have an agenda to tell the truth. Everybody has their own, reason for doing things. But the Anunnaki is very linked to a lot of the melanated people. Not all, but a lot of the melanated black Negroid people. And they're not as fierce, and they don't have as much power as the Draconians, which, I don't like saying that out loud, but it's the truth. And I sent out a call for a lot of us who are from that bloodline to connect to the Anunnaki to protect them, because they were being slaughtered. And there was nothing that anyone was doing, including the blue avians. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll step in and intercede. And not just to save them, but just to level the playing field. Because the Draconians are, they're fierce warriors. They're nothing to play with, and they're frightening to look at. You could die from looking at a Draconian. I tell people that's not the entity you want to see face to face. You can die. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that much excitement in your life.
No, that's not excitement. That's like a heart attack. And a lot of the people who have abductee experiences wake up with heart palpitations because they don't know what they just saw. But even though they've gotten the dose of the sleeper medicine that they give you, the forgetful stuff, people wake up with sweats and heart palpitations, like they feel like they're dying. And what we're finding out is a lot of them have just gotten abducted by these entities and have seen them face to face, and they're still having the experience of seeing that entity in front of them, and it's frightening them almost to death.
Well, I think it might not even. I mean, I know for sure that that's happening, but even if they don't even see the entity visually, just the energy, just being around the energy, I think the energy might be a little disrupting to the our system.
Absolutely, because a lot of times, being in their presence, they have a whole different molecular structure, and just like certain insects can't be next to another insect because it has a propelling kind of thing that it does, it's the same thing with those entities. These are ancient creatures that have been living here way beyond when we were before we were even thought of or conceived of to be created.
But there is some type of rules, because I mean, they can't just these entities can't just do whatever they want to us whenever they want.
No, they're not allowed to. But remember, before you come here, there are people who've made contracts with these ETs. Some of these people are hybrids of them too. So, we've chosen. They're not doing anything that was not permitted by that entity that they're doing it to. Just the entity may not remember consciously making a contract that they were going to have this interaction with that creature. They don't remember it because they did it probably in the ether. They may have done it pre-coming here to reincarnate any which way. It's always with consent. It's always with consent. Now, you may be intimidated, but it's always with your consent. They must put a little pressure on you, but it's always with your consent. They cannot do anything against your consent. You always have free will.
Right.
You do.
Right. Yeah, I think part of the reason that we're here as an experience is to we're experiencing the ET entities, and we're experiencing the different types, like you talk about, like there's cyborgs and stuff like that, and the ghosts and different spirits. But I think it's like we're, as humans, we're sustaining all these entities in a way as an aspect of creation.
Yes, they need us.
Right.
They need us to sustain their life. So they're not gonna really harm us too much.
It's going down. It's going down now on Earth, isn't it? It's going down.
Oh, it's a battle. There's a battle going on. People have no idea. If you hurt me, and we can't talk about it too publicly because there's a lot vested in that, and that has the least to do with whistleblowing. It has to do with just keeping certain information sacred to only those who could really handle that.
Right.
Certain information shouldn't be public for everybody. Nah.
But I bet
there's a lot going on.
I bet you though, like on other planets, like they're just looking at us like, man, they're showing out on Earth,
Not on other planets. You've got ships above us. You got all the UFO. Now we don't talk about the UFO people who have ultraviolet cameras and all kinds of things. There are ships above us watching us, right outside the atmosphere, watching to see what happens. Yeah, they're enjoying.
There's
probably the view.
There's probably like 10 different ET groups just listening to us right now.
Absolutely. Oh, we've heard them on the phone. That's another thing. We get contact with the weird things talking to us a lot of times. Deep, guttural voices. It would freak anybody out. Me and my girlfriend Kim get it. When I used to talk to another contactee, anytime they called me, that entity would call on the phone. Yeah, they're here.
You know what? When we were talking earlier, I thought I did hear somebody on the phone.
They're always on the phone.
Yeah.
They're always on the phone. The only time they're not allowed to listen to my conversation is when I'm on the phone with a blue avian. When I'm on the phone with another entity. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain ETs will not allow other ETs to be involved in their investment. So if I'm talking to a particular entity, the government, anybody is not allowed to listen. The government only has a little bit of say over what goes on. They are controlled by higher beings, all of them.
You know what? That's what it's all about. Is like, I think the different experiences that me and you have both been through, we look at it on one level, like we're interacting with these individuals, but we got to remember those individuals are already spoken up for by other individuals, and other individuals beyond that and beyond that and beyond.
We only see representatives. We don't see the real people. A lot of times, the real reptilians you'll never see. They live under the ground in the inner earth. They're tall, astronomical creatures. We'll never see them. We can't.
Right.
So we only see little representations, little hybrids that talk to other hybrids, that hybrids talk to humanoids that talk to robotoids. We never see the true representation. Like, you'll always see the gray. You won't see the ET that's controlling the gray.
Yeah.
So, people always talk about the grays. That's bullshit. That's a smoke screen. The gray is a smoke screen, unless it's a zeta. Now, zetas are small, pinkish, sometimes grayish, bluish-looking creatures. Those actually are ETs. But most of the time, if you're having an encounter with grays, there is a being who is controlling that robotoid, and that is not what you think. That is not the ET. That is its robot to come and do work or come and research you or pull you up to the craft. They don't come down here because we're diseased. We have parasites all over us. We're disgusting.
Oh, man.
They quarantine us when we go on the ship. We have to go in the violet room. Any contactee knows, if they remember their experience, you go in a room on a bay, and it's a violet, it looks like a laser, but it sweeps you. And what it does is it disinfects you so you don't infect the whole ship with your grossness. We got chemtrails, we got parasites, we got chips on us, we got all kinds of things on us. They don't want to be infected by us. They're not coming down here. They send their minions to do that. They don't come down here. Rarely do you see the ET come down to Earth. If they do, they send their representatives, which are hybrids that can deal with our environment a little better, cohesively.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying this. Can I? Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's true. Is because we got to think about it. If they're from another world, it's like we go to different countries, and sometimes we can't drink the water.
Absolutely.
The air smells a lot different. You get bed bugs in places that there's different types of, we react differently to the food. We don't. That's just here. That's just here on Earth.
True. That's true.
I mean, you can drive down. You can drive down to Mississippi and it'd be in a whole different world. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like a different country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right. It's so different, and so, it's. I think the ETs when they come here. I mean, this must be like really far out compared to what.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, they usually, you get the agricultural ones that come and test our environment, our soil. They check the trees. They do that. And you have the other ones. We have a lot of ETs under the water, a lot of underwater havens. That's really where they are, is under the water. Because a lot of the inner earth entries are underneath the water in the caves that are deep, 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 deep down to enter into, parts of Agartha. And under the Giza, the pyramids in Egypt, there's, inner earth entries. We don't even go into the inner earth because we can't even handle the galactic. Most people can't even handle ETs out in the cosmos. They'll flip out when right beneath your feet. There's a whole world beneath your feet in the inner earth.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, look at me. I can't even go and meet a secret group or something without getting scared and freaking out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So and that's on the surface. Those are regular people.
That's somebody I could see at the mall. Just imagine, just imagine what would happen if
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I could, I might see that guy at Pizza Hut or something, So.
Yeah. And they're everywhere. I always tell people, because when I did the Break the Code video again, because the first one broke records, and I didn't think it was. It was to my YouTube subscribers only. I didn't really think it would go that viral, but it was like over 400,000 views or some crazy number, and I had to take it down because it was out of control. I had religious gurus talking amongst each other, creating followers. It was wild. You've never seen anything like that. I've never known it. But when I intentionally did break the code, when I broke the code to see these entities, it took me a while, but then I started to see it. So I told the viewers, I said, listen, if I break the code, I'm going to tell it to you. I didn't think it was that big a deal. Then I did. Then I started to get the emails. People were seeing these entities full blown, and it was freaking them the fuck out. Excuse my language, freaking them out. And I got scared for them because for me, this is my world. See, once you're in that world, you're part of the ET world. This is normal. You know you're going to encounter anything. You're used to it. So, but if you come from someone who says they've been watching, playing video games, they think it's a joke, or they're high and taking, smoking weed, blunts, and then they do break the code, and then they see an entity. Some of them lost it, and I felt responsible. So I closed down the video. And then, as you see, 6 months later, I had experience with an ET group, and they felt it was okay to allow that. It has to be seen. That's what I'm saying. People don't realize if this video comes out and you're seeing it and you're allowed to break the code and it's working, it's only because they've okayed it. It wouldn't be allowed if it wasn't okay. So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be allowed to have that platform if it wasn't okay. So it's okay to do. And right now at this point, they have to be seen because we're switching vibrations and we're switching dimensions. And there's no more smoke screen up. You're going to have to know who you're dealing with. So your neighbor, who you thought was Frankie, who was real cool, might be, a dude who looks like an octopus. I'm just saying, I'm making a joke of it, but You gonna know who
No,
your
it might be
neighbors are
you.
now.
Yeah, that might be exactly what it is.
If you go out and see them like that, I just warned you. Yeah, and that's what it is. And we can no longer sit idly around and not know who we're dealing with. This way, you break the code, you see who you're dealing with, and now you can deal with them accordingly. They're not allowed to hide anymore. We're in their realm. We've raised. So now you're going to see these entities for who they are. It's just what it is.
Right, right. I think the biggest thing about that is a lot of people, for some reason, they're going to be fearful of that, but it's really a gift in disguise.
It is. It is. It's a gift, and it allows them to consciously make full-blown choices with knowledge of what they're encountering. Because before, when we were in 3D, we were in a sleep coma mode. So
Yep.
these entities could mess with our consciousness. They were in our heads. Even if we gave them free will to make choices, we didn't even make rightful choices because we were asleep. Now we're waking up, so now you have a choice. You can interact in the world, and the code doesn't just the code that it doesn't just break the code of seeing ETs. It breaks the code of seeing people's real personalities. So when people break the code, they start to see people's true self. So somebody you thought was cool for so long, all of a sudden when you break the code, you're seeing them as this creep. Like, oh my God, I thought they were so nice. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it breaks the code in all ways, not just ETs. I use that as an example because that's how I wanted to break the code. But it breaks the illusion of anything in front of you. So if
It,
someone is not being truthful, it'll break it.
and it even works on ourselves because I
Oh
gotta admit,
yes, oh yes.
I've
Go ahead.
I've
Son.
seen yeah I've seen different aspects of myself that I wasn't even aware of.
Yes, yes, very good. Absolutely. And
Right.
it's an overall awakening. It's an
Mm.
overall awakening. That's all it is. And once I got there, okay, I wasn't gonna do the second one, but when I talked to, I always call them my family. They're my family. I talked to my family and kind of came to the conclusion that it's time. And there's nothing to be. Well, for me, it is what it is. I'm putting it out there. I've already accepted the responsibility of putting that out there. So I made that choice. Um, it's just a matter of I have to sit. I felt bad for people. That's what it was. I have to allow it to go out as it, because I'm making the choice to do it. I have to allow it to go as it does, and just trust that it's for good intention that I'm doing it.
Yeah. I think with you, I think you manifest your reality a lot quicker than even people who like myself who know about this stuff. I think you naturally manifest your reality much quicker than most people.
I'm a Yes. Well, that's one of my abilities, and I
Yeah.
had that ability that was more latent. But one of my abilities is what is it? Instantaneous manifestation.
Right. Right.
Um, Before it used to take. Don't get me wrong. I did my move here. We did a bet, and I did the manifestation in 6 weeks of moving to a warm, beautiful climate. It was weird though, and I did it, and I didn't think it was possible. But now you're doing it too. As soon as you have a thought, it's manifesting into reality. Mine works because I've always believed it was there, so I didn't really have a sleep moment. The veil wasn't really down on that. I always did it. Now it's exasperated. But I will tell you, I'm going to give you and anyone who's listening to the show a warning. By September 28th, this is an exciting time. I love talking about this because it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It may be a bad thing for the bad guy, for people who are considered bad, but it's a good thing for most of us. By the 28th, this is to what I know, all your abilities, if your abilities are manifesting themselves, I've noticed, I've had a judgment that only certain people could get it. No, everybody's abilities are coming out. Everybody. I don't care if you're a GMO or not. It's all showing up.
Mm.
It will be exasperated, and for some whose abilities are very, very, very strong already, it might go to full-blown hero status, or what's another show that talks about that? Heroes, or hero status, where it just no, what was it? What was it? What's that movie where they were like they considered like freaks? What was it? Oh my God, not with Magneto. What's that movie
X-Men.
with Magneto? X-Men. your abilities will be exasperated. Now, this is my prediction, and I wouldn't make something so vast, but I'm seeing it show up, and I'm usually right. By the 28th, the blood moon is doing something. It may be the way the magnetic field is shifting that's causing us to kinetically wake up, but whatever it's doing, that fourth one is marked. And I have a feeling that you're going to get some gods that come out of this one. Like people wake up, like your abilities that you have now, that you are seeing and are strong, might just be full usage, like the way they were intended to be utilized when you were an ancestor. So just be mindful. If you wake up and you're levitating, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Well, I think
I'm serious.
that's totally possible because you know what? I've woken up before and like I was standing. I'd be like sleepwalking. I haven't been sleepwalking since I was like 7 or 8. And I would be up like out of the. I'd wake up and I'd be up out of the bed, and I was like, "How the hell did I get out of the bed?"
You might have flown out of it. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It is an ability. It is a latent ability that we weren't able to do. They stopped our abilities because we were falling from grace. So we had them all tied or bound. Only certain people had access to it by by just maybe their genealogy didn't suppress it and they were showing up, like super psychics and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll just come out as an anomaly. But for the most part, your abilities were probably always there, and you might have flown out of bed. That's one of the major abilities. And especially if your ancestors are coming anywhere from the Mediterranean, the Middle East, parts of Sudan, Africa, those are some of those qualities. The fire starter that I know, and I don't want to talk about that too much because I don't want them to be taken in. The fire starter, they're first started their ability, and this is a fact. It is a real ability that's shown up. I could witness that. Started showing up when they would walk in a room, and if they were getting in trouble, if they were angry, the room would heat up, but their body temperature would stay low. That's how a fire starter starts. And I researched that years ago. And when the person contacted me, because I was asking about abilities, I wanted to get a survey. I know who's telling the truth based on my knowledge. That's where research benefits you, because I would know if someone's lying to me based on my research. That was one of the qualities of a fire starter, people who had that ability to ignite, what is it, like almost like dragon. It's usually a certain bloodline has that. Usually the Asiatic people have that. It's from the dragon bloodline.
I think from like when you talk about like people and like genetic experiments from Atlantis and all that stuff, I think we still have people coming into being now where it's even being enhanced now because we're moving up. We're being enhanced by the fourth density, but through the cycle we're in. But people are having these stuff in their genes where they can levitate, they can start fires, they can
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Heroes is making a show about everybody right now. They're telling you what's going to happen. Heroes is making that show where they're going to try to find out people with abilities and try to kill them off because they can't have those people with abilities. They're telling you what they want to do to you. Remember, the people who do occult don't have innate abilities. So all they do is make technology to mimic your natural abilities when you were yourself. So everything we have, like the cell phone, our ancestors didn't need cell phones. We talked to each other in our heads. I was able to talk to you from where you were. I didn't need that. But when our abilities were censored and debilitated, that's when technology took over because it was to mimic all of our natural abilities. Flying, all that stuff. That's what we did.
Yeah, like I said, where I was putting that intention to connect with that entity Treb, and the next day the people from the website contacted me. I mean, that was like basically trying to put a connection to communicate them out.
You called it out.
Yeah.
You called it out.
Yeah.
You need a cell phone to do it.
Right. We can call each other just by placing that intention to the universe now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And if you accept that that is a quality that you could have, see, the part of your DNA that most people don't know, DNA has codes and locks too, for safety reasons, because you don't want people who are not ready to start showing signs or having physical manifestation of things that they can't handle. So it makes sense that there would be locks. So once you reach a certain level of consciousness, some of those codons are released. And when they're released, that's when an ability may manifest or knowledge it manifests or you get a download. because now you have an unlock of a new information in your DNA, and it comes at you because you're prepared and you're ready for it. But now, with this quickening that the planet's experiencing, it's almost like saying, okay, it's time for you to wake up. No more taking naps, no more hitting snooze. It's time for you to wake up. I think it has to do with this coming up. And not everybody will have abilities like that. Like I said, some will be more exasperated than others. But if you hear what I'm hearing, I didn't think it was going to be to this level. I think that blood moon is going to exasperate it. And don't be shocked. And CERN, because we don't know what CERN's whole movement in this is. Don't be shocked if you start seeing people doing, or yourself doing, extraordinary things just in a 24-hour period.
I think the control grid. This is my honest belief. I think the control grid, like the grid that they said, I think it's gonna collapse. And it already has been, like, over the years. It already has been little by little. But I think it's like a boiler in a basement getting ready to explode. I honestly,
I think that'd be great. The grid is also keeping our abilities hampered too.
Yeah.
Any grid that goes down, electricity is hell for us. We should be using organ energy, other forms of energy.
The energy that's coming out now, it's like even though they have their technology, they still have like a 1950s mindset almost.
Yes.
And so it's just like there's no way that you can keep the energy, and it's about to. I think this thing coming up. It's about to, like, just basically bust loose. You know?
I say we celebrate. You got marshmallows? I'll do vegan. Get it out. No, this is a time to celebrate. And I say, people get scared. I said, why get scared? Just acknowledge what's going on and observe it and enjoy. Enjoy. If it doesn't kill you, learn from it. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, what's the worst? If you're a soul, you're coming back anyway. So don't worry. Don't ever worry about death. Death is not infinite. Life is, if you have a soul. Now, if you say this to certain people, they get more scared. The more scared you get about dying, if you're not religious, because religious people have their own thing going on. But if you're not religious and you really have that fear inside of you, I'd question you have a soul, because they know that they can't come back. They done, lights out. If you have clones walking around that don't even know they're clones. They think they're human living creatures. They have no idea they've been created. It's sad. It's sad.
Right. Well, hey, that's so true. I was gonna say we got so much interview we got right now.
Yeah, good.